Hi everybody, let's see. Okay, let's see if I can see the chat here, not sure. Okay, well, my name is Helen and I'm with Ripples of Light in Oklahoma City, and today we are going to be talking about clairsenses. So I am so glad that you have joined for this, and we're going to have some fun. We've got 30 minutes and we're going to go through 6, so we're going to just power our way through. I would love to hear your comments or questions in the chat. Please just throw those in there. If you would like the printable that goes along with this, please message me your email address and I will send it right over to you. So thank you so very much for joining today. And yeah, any questions, just get it on in there. So who am I and what do I do? So I have been working as a medium and a Reiki teacher for about 20 years, well, more than 20 years now, as an intuitive reader and developing the spiritual senses. And I think that's just so important in daily life. You do not have to be working as a spiritual entrepreneur or person. These are skills that can just come in and enhance everything that you do. So that's why we're going to be talking about how to build on that today. So let's see. Okay. We'll start off with the first clairsense that gets talked about the most, I feel, which is clairvoyance. That is the one that you probably heard the most about, and that means clear seeing. And a lot of people, I think, get hung up on the fact, oh, I don't see things, with my physical eyes, so maybe I'm not doing it right, and they get a bit discouraged. But I just want to let you know that it doesn't have to be a physical seeing. Start with, do you see pictures in your head, like flashes of pictures? Do you see like a movie playing, snippets of movies? Is that how you're starting to see it in your third eye? Just go with whatever you get and start there. When you start to work with these six senses, if you will, they are more subtle. So just go with what you get. Journaling is a fabulous thing because when you start writing it down, even though it might just be like one or two things here or there that you're starting to see, when you start to see that list, you're like, oh wow, okay, I'm seeing more than I thought I was. So just keep a journal. What do you see? And this is a great thing to practice with a friend. So if you work with a friend, just say to each other, okay, ask a question and then say, what do you see? What do you see? Are you getting anything? And just write it down. The reason it's best to sometimes write it down to start with is because then you're not getting that feedback. You're just initially writing down all this information and then just kind of go from there. And then just see what your friend will come back with. Now, I will tell you, it is sometimes a little bit trickier working with a friend because your conscious mind your mind gets in the way. You're like, oh, I know that about that person. Working with a stranger is even better, but we'll go with a friend to start with. So working with that and journaling that and then just seeing that those hits come in and you're just like, wow, I picked that up. That's great. Go with that. The clairvoyance is associated with the third eye chakra. If you're familiar with the chakra system, you've got 7 major chakras and it's associated with the third eye right here. The color indigo is linked to that. You've got some recommended crystals. You'll find it, if you Google that, you'll find a ton. So just go with whichever one that appeals to you the most. Amethyst, and that's a good crystal for that, but there's a lot. So just go with whichever one suits you best. It's nice to also go to a crystal shop or a fair and just get a feel for the crystals and just be like, wow, I think this one wants to come home with me. This one appeals to me. That is a great way to do it. Sensing things that are perhaps a little bit that you can't see. Another one that you can work on is sensing and viewing the aura. A lot of people, again, get discouraged with this because they're like, oh, I don't see clouds of color around people. Um, but you know, start at the beginning and build up your confidence, because I think confidence and the the faith that you're going to see something, start there. So when you look at people, instead of expecting to see huge clouds of color, just start with the basics. So if you're focusing on someone, focus your eyes a few inches above the head, and then you might start to see a white light around their shoulders and their head, and it will be shifting. It doesn't stay still. You'll see it shifting. And I guarantee if you start working on this, you will see it. You can also see your own. A good place to practice is in a bathroom, in a mirror. You know, if the light's not too bright, you should be able to see that. You can also see it around speakers who are animated. So if you are at a workplace conference, I've spent a bit of time at work conferences doing this, you know, watching the speakers, because they're usually very passionate about what they talk about. And when people are passionate, their aura just expands and gets brighter. So start to see if you can see that white light around people, and then intuitively sense. We'll be coming to the intuitive senses in a little bit, but then intuitively sense, if you can't see the color, just say to yourself, what intuitively, what color do I sense around that person? If blue is the first thing you get, great. And then just focus on, like, you know, what does blue mean to me? Does blue mean peace? Does blue mean calming? Why am I associating it with that person? And just kind of go from there. Then maybe you'll start to see colors in the aura, but just start at the beginning. Just start seeing that light. Because I think when we just crack that open and we're like, I can see it, then things start to drop into place a little bit more for us. Okay, so let's talk about the next one. Okay, so this is a little bit fun, and I don't think people talk about this as much, but it's clairalience, and it's clear smelling. This is where you will get a sense of it can be cigarette smoke, it can be perfume, it could be cooking. I will get this often in readings. You know, if someone's grandma is coming through, for example, there may be a smell of vanilla. And I'm just like, I know she's talking about she must have loved to cook, because there's this sense of baking, there's a smell of vanilla, there's a smell of that. But I feel that, you know, in talking to people, a lot of people do get that. They're like, yes, I smelt roses. I associate that with my mom. And this is, you know, when you're in the middle of the grocery store or you're in your car. This is not somewhere that you could really connect it. So just go with that. It can be fleeting. It can be not as, you know, not terribly strong, but you still smell it nonetheless. The spirit's going to find different ways to communicate with you, and that's one of them. You know, you can ignore a lot of things, and I feel that we do during our everyday life when our minds just get crazy busy. But the sense of smell really does stop us in our tracks. We're like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. So just, you know, again, keep notes and be like, wow, that was that. And I noticed that. A way to work with developing this is to practice. You know, a lot of the time with everyday life, I don't know about you, but I feel that we can just get so I hate to use the word numb, but you know what I mean. It's just you get so caught up with everything that you're not always paying the most attention to your senses. There's so many distractions in life. We're not always hyper aware of our senses. So a way to develop that is to work with different scents to become more aware of your sense of smell, and then to develop that and become more aware when spirit starts sending you messages. And this can be from your guides as well, not just your loved ones. So you might try, you know, with coffee, with lavender, with peppermint oil. And it's not anything huge or a big structured thing. It's just like, I'm just going to try it just a little bit and just become aware and become more, you know, I think a lot of it is just becoming aware of our surroundings and being more present. So that is a key thing, I think, being more present, and then we become more aware of us and ourselves, and the impressions that we're receiving intuitively become much stronger. Okay, so let's see what we got next. All right, so let's talk about clairaudience, which is clear hearing. Okay, this can be very much like clairvoyance. It could be, you know, where you physically hear it, you know, when you're like, did someone just call my name? You know, I think a lot of people get that. So it could be where you actually hear something. But it can also be, okay, how do you say I hear voices in my head without it sounding super weird? But it could just be more of an impression that you're hearing rather than an actual physical voice. Because I feel that we vibrate on one level down here at the earth plane, but then spirit is vibrating so much higher, it's not always super clear. So just being hyper, just focusing on what you're hearing. What do I hear? Did I just hear my name? Okay, stop, think. What was that? What then are the other impressions that I'm receiving? Were they trying to get my attention? Why? What am I doing? What should I be doing? And just go from there. When you ask your guides or your loved ones a question, just set your intent in the morning and just say, please bring me a message. Please let me hear a message from you today. And then see how it comes. It's not always going to be perhaps a verbal message, but it could be, for example, a song that you hear on your car radio. You walk into someone's office at work and they're playing the song that you chose to have played at your mum's funeral. Or it could be that you walk into the store and they're playing the song that just like totally lights you up and totally excites you. If your question that day was like, what should I do about my goals? Should I move forward? And you hear this song, maybe it's a message for you. A lot of working with becoming more aware of our intuitive senses is really about exploring the world in a bigger way and perhaps in a more expansive way. And I think a lot of it is the feeling that it's like, I'm not alone. Okay, so where's my guidance? And here's the real key. A lot of people, I do feel, we ask for guidance. We're like, what's my message? What's my message? And then we run around all day completely distracted and we're not really listening. So we've got to listen. When we ask for an answer, we've got to listen to it. So just write down everything that you get, focus on everything you get and see if there's a theme. The chakra that is associated with this would be the throat chakra, because that's all about communication. So that's also about speaking your truth, but it's also about hearing it as well and listening. The chakras associated with the throat chakra are the blue of the throat chakra color. So you've got lapis lazuli, you've got blue apatite. So try working with those as well. Okay, let's see. What should we move on to now? Okay, so let's talk about claircognizance. That is clear knowing. So, and I have to say that sometimes people, you know, will focus like, oh, I have this sense, I just see things. I guarantee you're getting it in more than one way, but perhaps you haven't really thought about how you're getting it. You haven't really isolated it. A lot of the time, things come to us, it's a gut feeling, you know, and we'll talk about the feelings in a moment. But but with claircognizance, it's about that knowing. It's just like, well, I just know that this is true, or I just know that this is the case, and it's like, how would I know that? And it's really coming in intuitively, but go with it. We don't rely enough, I think, on the messages that come in that way. So this can be truths or premonitions that are coming in with no practical explanation. It can feel like a download of information from the universe. That's how it can feel like. This sense is associated with the crown chakra, which is right up on top here. That is a beautiful violet or purple color. Sometimes people see it as a white light as well. It's kind of got that divine white light with it as well. So you might see that. And also when you're seeing the aura, you might be seeing part of that as well. Clear quartz, fluorite, white, violet crystals, they are great for that. You will probably find a crystal shop in your area, and the people who are running it, you know, are pretty knowledgeable usually, so you can go and ask them, just say, hey, I'm wanting to work on this today, what would you recommend for me? And then just see what you're drawn to. Okay, so one thing I haven't kind of mentioned yet this morning is we've talked about the crystals, talked about the color a little bit associated with these different senses, but can't forget sound either. So sound and the musical notes also impact the chakras and can help us work in opening, strengthening, and building on those areas. If you've ever heard Tibetan singing bowls, those are attuned to different chakras, you'll see, and have different musical notes. And if you haven't, then go onto YouTube. There's like 5 million sites that have the singing bowls in there. The crown chakra, which would be developing this particular sense, is the musical note of B. So go ahead and listen, and you can search that on YouTube, you know, crown chakra singing bowls, you know, and just listen to that and see how you feel. It's a good thing to do while you're just sitting quietly, and then you're just like, how, you know, and that's one thing we don't do enough, like sitting quietly and focusing on our body. Listen to the singing bowl, listen to the chakra, the different notes, and then just see where we're feeling it in our body. If you ask questions too, where are you feeling the response? Are you like feeling, I just know this, I'm seeing something, how's it coming in? Most people have a predominant Clair that they will be like, oh, I see stuff. Okay, cool. But it doesn't mean to say you can't work on this other stuff too, you know, because it helps to underpin it, and it helps to give you a richer sense of knowledge and information that's coming in, a more rounded picture, if you will. Because if you get a box of crayons, you don't want to just use one, right? You want to use them all. So another way to develop this is, for example, when you hear your phone ding, before you turn it over, before you look at it, sit there and think. Just sit there and think to yourself, okay, just heard the phone, who is it? And just the first person you think of, okay, turn over the phone, were you right? Because I guarantee once you start doing this on a more regular basis, when you hear that phone go, that person's name, or the picture of the person, or you might hear the person's name, however you're getting the information most strongly, I guarantee you will start getting that. So it's another way to build on that. Meditation, of course, is going to be a strong way to work on that knowing. When you look back at events in your life, you know, you can think about some of the significant things that have happened and think to yourself, did I have a sense of knowing about this? Did I, even though I was going through it, did I know it was going to be okay? Did I know there was going to be another opportunity? Like, where did those intuitive senses come in, and how can you build on that? You know, I like to think with the clear knowing, with that claircognizance, it's a feeling more of reassurance. It's a feeling more that the universe has got a safety net for you. It's just like there's a clear knowing. There's a clear knowing. It's coming from somewhere else. I'm just feeling this, and there should be a sense of security with it too. Okay, let's talk about a fun one next. Okay, so we have got clairgustance, which is clear tasting. Okay, so I don't know if any of you have experienced this, but it is the ability to taste something that isn't physically there. This is not just imagining eating ice cream, but that could be a good practice for you. This can happen for me as a reader, when I'm doing like for example a mediumship reading, perhaps that loved one gives me a taste of um, sometimes like alcohol in my mouth, and I'll be like, okay, so so we'll start talking about that in the reading. It could be they give you a taste of the sweet stuff, baking. There can be all kinds of different ways that you can get that kind of fleeting taste, and it's just like, okay, so where's this coming from? What is the message here with it? As a medium, also, it does not always have to be food. There can be a taste of blood. Depending on what physical condition that person may have had, there can be taste of like chemical or drug treatments. So really, there's a full range of experiences there. Working on developing your taste and becoming more hyper aware of all your senses is going to help build a richer approach to your development, to your spiritual development. For example, if you suddenly start thinking that morning, wow, okay, I'm really craving Chinese food today. I'm really craving it. Out of nowhere, got a taste of Chinese food. Okay, so that lunchtime, which you hadn't really planned, you go to your favorite Chinese lunch restaurant, and lo and behold, you bump into someone that you haven't seen in a long time, that was important for you to perhaps like bump into that day for whatever reason. That is another way that the spirit world is trying to communicate with you and trying to guide you. Like, hey, you need to go to this place and meet someone. So it's another way that they can be communicating with you, rather than just like, instead of hearing a message, like, you get this taste for it. It's all valid, it's all good. So just go with that. Just like with the sense of smell, you can focus on the sense of taste to help develop it and become more aware of it. Because you know what it's like. You go to a restaurant these days, there's TVs everywhere, people talk, so there's a lot of distraction when we're eating, and so I don't feel like we focus quite as much as on the actual taste and experience of dining, perhaps as used to. So it's just like, how do I bring this focus back? So just becoming much more aware of the taste, just sitting there and just like focusing on it for a second. Oh wow, okay. Then that will help to strengthen the awareness of messages coming in. When you ask your guides or your loved ones for messages, just say, send me a message today. And sometimes, when people are going through, difficult times, or it's an anniversary, or, it's a birthday or something of their loved one who's passed, or, you might just say, send me a sign. Well, perhaps then you'll get a taste of cookies, and that's what your grandma cooked all the time for you, baked all the time for you, so maybe that is her way of sending a sign to you. It doesn't always have to be, a giant billboard that you see. It could just be that fleeting taste of the cookies that she used to cook. So just this sense is perhaps the most overlooked, I do believe, in spiritual development, but I think it can bring more depth, and certainly a very personal experience to intuitive development. So I would say give that a go, work on that one. Okay, so we are moving right along here. So let's talk about the sixth sense and the last one on the list. So we've got clairsentience and clear feeling. This is the ability to perceive emotional or psychic energy that's imperceptible to the 5 standard senses. Picking up feeling. It's gut instinct. It's gut feeling. All humans can do this, but we're not very good about respecting it, I don't think, half the time. How many times do you see people go, oh, I knew, my gut feeling was I shouldn't have done that. My gut feeling was I shouldn't have trusted him. But we do tend to override it. So this is about becoming more aware of it and paying more attention to it. And just think how many things we can avoid in our life if we actually listened to our clairsentience and to our gut more often. How many times have you stayed in a job when your gut was like, run for the hills? or you've done something and you're like, I knew better, I knew it. I felt this wasn't a good situation. So this is about paying more attention and being more connected with our bodies. You know, so many people, you know, we all live in our head. You know, we've got to remember that there's stuff going on below there. We've got to get more focused on our bodies and live a more rounded experience. So this psychic sense is associated primarily with two of our chakras. With the third one, which is the solar plexus, the lovely yellow right there, kind of diaphragm area. And the fourth chakra, which is the heart chakra, which is green, can also be a pale pink when we're working with unconditional love. So you've got for the solar plexus chakra, I'm always going to say, you know, go with some of the yellow crystals. We've got citrine, yellow jasper, lemon quartz. They just look so invigorating. And then you can either focus on pink or deep green crystals for the heart chakra. Rose quartz, always a staple. You can't go wrong with that. Emerald, green calcite. These are very healing crystals. So go and get some of those, feel the vibration, feel the colors, work with the colors too. That working with color is another great way to develop also your clairvoyance, because you're seeing it. It's also another way to develop clairsentience because you can feel it. Colors have a different vibrational frequency. You'll feel it. So what you can do is you can either you know, getting paint swatches from the paint store and looking at the range of colors is always good, or visualizing it in your head. But you can run through the colors of the chakras. And don't forget to include other colors too. You know, they don't have to be the primary colors of the major chakras. You can throw in like, okay, so today, for example, do I need to focus on black? What does black mean to me? Black is a very insulating and grounding color. Perhaps you just need a little bit of time out for yourself that day. Black is a great color for that. It's very insulating. It's just like, okay, I'm gonna surround myself with this. I'm gonna go within today and focus. Yellow is the exact opposite. It's like, I am sunny today. I'm getting out there. I'm sharing my energy with everyone. So focus on those colors and the feeling, and see the feeling that you get from it. With clairsentience too, with the feeling, it's knowing your own boundaries. And your aura, your sense of place in the world. That is important. Feeling grounded is important. Self-care, awareness are vital. Feeling connected with the physical world, I find, is important with working with this. Because with clear feeling, you've got to feel you. And you've got to feel connected to things. If you are so full up with all the distractions of life that's going on, it's going to make it more difficult to listen to what's going on with you personally. So, and where your energy is, where your body is. So what you can do is like go and stand outside. Doesn't have to necessarily be nature. If you've got like one tree in your parking lot at work, fantastic. Go and stand next to the tree. I get some strange looks, but it'll be all right. So just focus on feeling your energy down into the earth, feeling the connection up above to divine, and just feeling yourself as a channel with that. It's about putting the phone down for 5 minutes. It's about disconnecting from all the exterior noise, and it doesn't have to be a whole day retreat. It can just be like a couple minutes, you know, here or there. How do I shut everything off, and how do I suddenly become more in tune with myself? What am I actually feeling? So that's a good strong one to end on, right? So I hope that this has helped you. please feel free to message me. I will send over a 6-page printable that I have prepared on this to you so that you can just dabble with it, play with it. And that's the key. Play with it. This is fun. It's not serious homework. This is about exploring more about life and getting a broader experience of life, more bringing in as much as possible. So please do send me a message, put in the comments if you would like this, and I hope you enjoyed this today, and it's been wonderful spending this time with you. Thank you so much. Until next time.